everyone, this is Ayushi Maheshwari. Welcomes you all back to my channel Physio Gyan. Our today's topic is brachial plexus. What is this brachial plexus? Plexus means a network of anything. But if we are talking about brachial plexus, that means a network of nerves of upper lip. If we are talking about lumbar plexus, that means a network of nerves of lower limb. Brachial plexus, network of nerve with the nerves which supplies to upper limb. So it is called as the brachial plexus. So brachial plexus is the network of nerve formed by the anterior rami of the four cervical nerves and the one thoracic nerve. These four cervical nerves are C5, C6, C7, C8 and thoracic nerve is the T1, which arises from the C5, C6, C7, C8 and T1 vertebrae respectively. This brachial plexus extends from the spinal cord. This brachial plexus extends from the spinal cord up to the neck like this. This is the diagram of the neck. This brachial plexus is like this is C5, this is C6, this is C7 and this is T1. So this brachial plexus extends from the spinal cord through the cervico-axillary canal from the neck and then extends up to the armpit and then it supplies your shoulder, arm, forearm and hand. It provides motor and sensory innervation to the upper limb. It provides motor and sensory innervation to the upper limb, that is afferent and efferent nerve fibers to your chest area, shoulder area, arm, forearm and hand. Guys, what happens is when this brachial plexus is arising from the spinal cord, it arises likewise. So you may see that this is the diagram of the cord and this is your cord. This is your anterior horn. This is your grey matter, this is your anterior part and this is your posterior part. Okay, so when these two roots are arising, likewise, from here there is arising a dorsal root. From here it is arising a ventral root, or you can see the anterior root or the posterior root. So this is your dorsal root or posterior root and this is your ventral root, or you can say the anterior root, and then these two combine over here likewise and forms here a dorsal root ganglion. Then there is a dorsal root ganglion and then again split into two rami. Likewise, here I have written the middle scaling muscle. I will explain you that. You can understand that. From here, likewise, if this is arising, here is your dorsal root ganglion, and then these are again divided into two rami. That is your posterior primary rami, and this is your anterior primary rami. This one is the anterior primary rami, and this is the posterior primary rami. So your all brachial plexus is arising from this anterior primary rami of the ventral root, from the anterior part of the spinal cord. So what is in this diagram is when this brachial plexus is arising from your anterior primary rami of the ventral root, then it extends from here, from these 4, 5 nerves of C5, C6, C7, C8, T1 and passes from between the scaling muscles. See, in front is the anterior scaling muscle and behind is the middle scaling muscle. You can imagine it likewise. See, likewise. My front hand, this one is anterior scaling muscle and this hand is the middle scaling muscle and this marker is the brachial plexus. Okay. This marker is the brachial plexus which arises from the spinal cord, extends up to the cervico-axillary canal, then supplies your first rib, chest part, then up to the armpit and then extends up to your shoulder till to hands. Okay, this was the one part. But sometimes what happens happen if the C4 nerve is present and in that case T2 is absent. So it is called as a prefixed plexus. Okay, and sometimes this also happens. Sometimes T2 nerve is also present in the brachial plexus. In that case C4 is absent. If there is any C4 or T2 present, if T2 is present, then it is post-fixed plexus, and if this C4 is present, then it is called as the prefixed plexus. अगर C4 होगा तो T2 नहीं होगा, T2 होगा तो C4 नहीं होगा. So this was the prefixed and the post-fixed plexus. Now we are moving on towards the structure of the brachial plexus. Brachial plexus consists of 5 roots: C5, C6, C7, C8, T1, 3 trunks: upper trunk, middle trunk, lower trunk, 6 divisions, each giving 2 anterior and posterior, 3 cords and 5 terminal branches. In the brachial plexus, roots give rise to trunk, trunks gives rise to divisions, divisions give rise to cords, and further cords gives rise to branches, which supplies motor and sensory innervation to the upper limb. Other than these 5 terminal branches, there are some pre-terminal and the collateral branches in between as well. I will explain you them one by one. Okay, so now first move on towards the roots. What are the roots of the brachial plexus? Roots are C5, C6, C7, C8 and T1. And guys, each single brachial plexus root has their own associate dermatome and myotome as well. Each sensory neurons has their spinal level associated dermatomes. So first I am explaining you the dermatome. Dermatome of C5 is the lateral part of the arm. Your complete lateral part of the arm is your C5 dermatome. C6 dermatome is lateral part of the elbow and 2 fingers, thumb and the index finger. Lateral part of elbow and thumb and the index finger. C7 dermatome is just like triangular. 2 fingers and making a triangle up to the palm. This is C7 dermatome. C8 dermatome, the remaining little finger and the half of the ring finger part. T1 dermatome, medial part of the elbow. Likewise, each spinal level of the root have their own associated myotome also. So C5 myotome is shoulder abduction, C6 myotome is elbow flexion, C7 myotome elbow extension, C8 myotome finger flexion, T1 myotome finger abduction. So thing to remember is each spinal root level has their own dermatome and myotome as well. Now moving on, roots gives rise to trunk. So 2 roots, C5 root and C6 root combines and give rise to the upper trunk. C8 root, T1 root combines and give rise to the lower trunk, and C7 root continues as the middle trunk. So brachial plexus consists of 3 trunks: upper trunk, middle trunk and lower trunk. Upper trunk is also having a suprascapular nerve which innervates your infraspinatus muscle and the supraspinatus muscle. Now these trunks gives rise to divisions. Each of these trunks gives rise to 2 divisions, so anterior and posterior. So there are total 6 divisions. Your anterior divisions, this part, anterior. Each trunk's anterior division provides motor neurons to the anterior part, that means the flexor parts. And each posterior division provides motor neurons or motor nerves to the dorsal part or the extensor part. Basically, it means muscles in front of the bone are hand over by the anterior divisions, and muscles posterior to the bone are hand over by your posterior divisions. Now moving on. Divisions gives rise to cords. So your anterior division of upper trunk and middle trunk combines and give rise to the lateral cord. Your 3 of the posterior cords combines and gives rise 3 of your posterior divisions. 1, 2, 3 combines and gives rise to the posterior cord, and your remaining anterior division gives the medial cord. So it's clear that roots gives rise to trunks gives rise to divisions gives rise to cord, and cords gives rise to branches. This your then what happens is your lateral cord gives rise to the musculocutaneous nerve, and your lateral cord and medial cord combinedly give rise to the medial nerve. Your medial cord gives rise to the ulnar nerve. Posterior cord gives rise to two nerves, radial nerve and axillary nerve. There is now focus here. Can you able to see a clear three over here? Three like this I am talking about. Clear three. One, two, three, four. That means that means the lateral cord supplies the lateral cord gives branch to the medial cutaneous nerve. So this is the medial cutaneous nerve and this is the lateral cord. And the lateral cord and the medial cord gives rise to the median nerve. This is the median nerve. So to remember these branches and cords, it's a mnemonic of three. Here see, lateral and the medial cord combine and gives a median nerve. And one branch from the median nerve is coming and it's giving the ulnar nerve. This is your ulnar nerve. And this is also the medial cord. Okay. So this is a three. You can remember it likewise. And to remember the posterior, and from the posterior cord there are two branches, radial nerve and axillary nerve. What happens with the cords? Lateral cords gives one branch, that is the lateral pectoral nerve, and that innervates the pectoralis major muscle. Medial cord gives rise to two branches, medial pectoral nerve and the medial cutaneous nerve of arm and the forearm. Medial pectoral nerve innervates your pectoralis major muscle, and medial cutaneous nerve of arm and forearm is also called as the antebrachial nerve. And the posterior cord also gives rise to two branches. One is the subscapular nerve that innervates lower subscapular nerve that innervates your subscapularis muscle, and one is the thoracodorsal nerve that innervates your latissimus dorsi. So this was the structure of the brachial plexus. This diagram there, as I already told you, I am going to explain you some collateral branches and some pre-terminal branches. So there are two pre-terminal branches which are arising from the upper trunk. These are two pre-terminal branches. One is nerve to subclavius and nerve to rhomboideus. Two terminal branches arising from the upper trunk, that is nerve to subclavius, which supplies your subclavius muscle over the first rib, and nerve to rhomboideus, which is also called as the dorsal scapular nerve. And one branch is also arising from C6, C7 and C8. That is long thoracic nerve. Which is also called as nerve to serratus anterior. Its roots are C6, C7, C8. Now moving on to the respective terminal branches and their innervations. Axillary nerve innervates your deltoid, teres minor muscle and the lateral cutaneous nerve of the forearm. That is the dermatome part of your arm part. Okay. Now the radial nerve innervates your triceps. I already explained you in my earlier videos. Triceps, forearm extensor, superior cutaneous branch to the back of the thumb, index and the middle finger. Moving on, median cutaneous nerve gives rise to your bicep, innervates your biceps, brachialis, lateral cutaneous nerve of forearm. Median nerve innervates your forearm flexors. This part, forearm flexors, thinner muscles, superior cutaneous branch to your pronator teres, flexor carpi radialis, flexor digitorum superficialis and profundus, palmaris longus, flexor pollicis longus and your first and second lumbricus. And it also gives sensation part or sensory part to your thumb, index finger, middle finger and half of the ring finger. I already explained you earlier. Next is the ulnar nerve innervates your flexor carpi ulnaris and half of the flexor digitorum profundus, And intrinsic part, it contains your third and the fourth lumbricals, hypothenar muscles, superior cutaneous branch to your pinky finger and half to your ring at the volar and the dorsal aspect as well. So guys, these were the terminal branches and their innovation. Now we have almost completed the brachial plexus, and now let's revise all the branches of the chords which are given by the brachial plexus, as this is a very important part, usually comes in the exam directly to enumerate the branches of the lateral cord or the medial cord or the posterior cord. Likewise, it is a 16 marks question, so do please focus on. So lateral cord gives rise to three branches, that is lateral pectoral nerve, medial musculocutaneous nerve and the lateral root of the medial nerve. And their roots are C5, C6, C7. Three of them having common root, that is C5, C6, C7. To remember this, there is a formula LMN. LMN. So lateral cord is LML, lateral pectoral nerve, musculocutaneous nerve and the lateral root of the medial nerve. Next is the medial cord. Medial cord have all five of these branches having same roots, that is C8 and T1. Medial pectoral nerve, medial cutaneous nerve of arm and forearm, medial root of the medial nerve and the ulnar nerve. So to remember the medial cord is M4U. 4 times M. Medial pectoral nerve, medial cutaneous nerve of arm, medial cutaneous nerve of forearm, medial root of medial nerve and U for ulnar nerve. Next is the posterior cord. Gives rise to 5 branches and having different roots, different nerve roots. Upper subscapular nerve C5, C6. Lower subscapular nerve is also having C5 and C6. Thoracodorsal nerve, which is also called as the nerve to latissimus dorsi, having C6, C7, C8. Radial nerve C5, C6, C7, C8 and T1. And this axillary nerve is having C5. To remember this, there is a formula ultra. A for axillary, R for radial, T for thoracodorsal, L for lower subscapular, U for upper subscapular. These LML, M4U and Ultra, these mnemonics were given to me by my sir, by my teacher. So guys, this was all about the brachial plexus, and injury to brachial plexus or injury to any of the branch or injury to any of the cord of the brachial plexus can cause you many diseases like Erb's paralysis, Klumpke's paralysis, Horner syndrome. Depending on which level is affected, which part is affected, how much it is affected, and it can also cause claw hand, partial claw hand, wrist drop, many more conditions. So guys, keep connecting, stay tuned with me. Please do like my video, share it with your colleagues, and do watch and subscribe Physio Gyan and share Physio Gyan videos. Thank you.